Hi. Three surprising ideas and statistics shared in the video that really surprised me was, according to the video, literacy can determine poverty. So that one was really big because as educators, we are always looking to how we can set our students up for a successful future. So with that, it's super important that now we can kind of understand how we can make sure they are reading and writing really well, and make sure they're understanding and learning things that could benefit them in their reading skills or writing, and as well as just make sure that they are doing well, because I know that it can be easily to I guess in a way like a child could not share the or ask for help when they're struggling with reading, because they could be embarrassed or their friends might make fun of them. So I also think it's super important to kind of make sure you're, like, as a teacher, asking if they understand everything, if they need help. So I think that's really important to take into consideration. Yeah, the second one was that this is also directly quoted from the video, so it is according to the video: more people are affected by illiteracy than cancer. So that one was a really big one for me to think about, because I often see commercials on TV for organizations like donating to cancer, as well as in malls or in stores. When you round up your change, it goes for organizations that support cancer or the research side of it. So I think that's really interesting how cancer is very I think it's really well that a lot of people talk about it, but also I think that it's interesting to see how it is very common to talk about that, but it is not, like, I've never heard nobody talk about illiteracy or any I would say, like, organizations trying to advocate for students who may be struggling with it, or anything in general about it. I think it's really interesting to see that when more people are affected by illiteracy. So I think that one was a really interesting one. The third one that really shocked me was that was that people who are illiterate are the ones who receive food stamps. So that one kind of does tie in with the that it could determine poverty. With that, I think it surprised me because there is, like, the help for people who are struggling, that is their help. But also when we think about illiteracy, there's, like, I've never heard of no help. So I think that's also like a wake-up call for people to start advocating for it, or could possibly be like a I guess, like, knowing that, like, it's not talked about. I think it could be a really good opportunity to do something about it, especially for future generations, so they don't have to rely on food stamps or any other help that any other help they may need when they're struggling, because they were struggling with illiteracy. So I think that's really important. 3 ways a school or teachers can foster a love for literacy would it be, I feel there's 3 factors that really contribute to it, and they come from the article Promoting a Love of Learning Without Reading Logs. So I remember I hated reading logs in elementary school, so I really liked what the article was talking about. So 3 things I really do that could help students love literacy would be motivation. So I feel that motivation is super important, because a student may just not be having the greatest day, and if a teacher is like, hey, I really like your book, or just encourages them to read, I feel that that may give them motivation and really help them love reading if it is the right book and they really are motivated. And then that goes with my second one, finding the right book. I think that one was really important, and I also experienced in elementary school, like I never felt like I liked the books I read, never felt really motivated. So I feel that those two are really important, that they find their own book that they really enjoy. And the third one would be accountability. I think that one is super important as well, because there's just some days where students just might not feel motivated or just don't really want to read. So if a teacher is really holding them accountable and saying, hey, you need to read, is super important. And also, like I mentioned, like also like the video also mentions like how literacy is like the, I guess, the foundation of many things that can occur. So like there was I wrote it down, it's directly from there. It's like literacy can eliminate hunger, crime, and poverty. So I think that's really important, why teachers should hold their students accountable in regards to that. So yeah, so I would feel that how teachers can foster love for literacy would be all of those like I mentioned, but also this is a really important one I would like to mention is creating habits. So that one is really interesting because I once heard that breaking a habit is super hard. So if students were started to create the habit of reading books at an early age, it would be really difficult to break that habit later when they're older. So I think that's super important also. Yeah, thank you so much for listening.